the future stars of American politics, they all seem to stack up on the right-hand side of the aisle. Like Kari Lake, who's running for governor in Arizona. Every time that I hear her speak, I think how incredibly poised she is, how articulate she is, how she has a tremendous amount of star power. I was very pleasantly surprised each and every time that I've seen her in action. And if she wins in Arizona, she'll probably be the vice presidential candidate for the Republican Party in 2024. And frankly, I think that she would make a fantastic president, the first female president. But here's what you probably don't know about Kari Lake. She used to donate to Democrats. She donated to John Kerry and his presidential campaign. Her husband donated to Barack Obama, and she canvassed for Obama. What brought her over to the right is the question. And then, of course, in terms of the future stars, you have Ron DeSantis of Florida, definitely a contender for the next election. Rand Paul, maybe Dan Crenshaw, Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk. And on the libertarian side, you have comedian Dave Smith. But the question that I have is, who exactly is on Team Blue who is a star? I guess you could possibly point to Greasy Gavin. Not a bad linguistic kill shot, I must say, given the alliteration and the slick back greasy hair. I guess you could also point to gay Pete Buttigieg. He is, in fairness, a well-spoken individual. But no one else even comes close. And I'm going to tell you the reason why they lack any of the potential star power of those on the right. Why none of them are going to resonate with the American voter. It's due to the platform of the left being built upon quicksand. Sure, they pretend that it's bedrock granite. Get the media and big tech to push a nice little augmented reality, red carpet over it, allowing the gullible and the stupid to believe that they are standing on solid ground when espousing their talking points. But it cannot last. When you tell people that 2 + 2 can equal 5, and then ask you to trust them with the physics of air flight or the construction of the building, somehow people have an innate sense that something isn't quite right. When you push the environmental policies that will force you to replace the steel beams in a 50-story skyscraper with organically grown bamboo, even those who wildly applaud the idea are not going to join the ribbon-cutting ceremony on the top floor, 1,000 feet above the ground. When you forbid children from puffing on a cigarette, but get excited and tell them how stunning and brave they are when they choose to transition to the opposite sex, and the politicians work hand in hand with activists to pump them full of puberty blockers and allow them access to chop off their genitals, it's sort of hard to justify the chasm in logic or defend yourself against the accusation that you aren't working on behalf of a cult that merely desires more children to be thrown into the sacrificial trans volcano. But only when it's not smoking. When you demand that we all worship what you call drag queens, which when you break them down into their core components are men dressing in lingerie and parading around in a sexually explicit manner, you'll forgive me for taking a slight bit of offense when the left calls me a bigot for being dubious of those politicians who encourage it. When Martin Luther King and so many other civil rights leaders sacrificed so much, including their own lives, in an effort to end Jim Crow in the South, allowing blacks and whites in the southern states for the first time to sit at lunch counters together. And today you have Democrat leftist politicians advocating for black-only dormitories, black-only graduation ceremonies, hiring quotas, and telling us that race matters. Race matters. Oh yes, I have the receipts.
Race matters, and we need to say so.
Do you not think that actual liberals that hold the principles of equality dear in their hearts might feel that they are on shaky ground when Team Blue wants to divide us again along racial lines?
Race matters, and we need to say so.
Look, I could go on and on with examples of this, but I won't, because even with big tech, the media, the universities, with their ability to push these so-called values, intentionally confusing people and brainwashing them, pulling the wool over their eyes, in the end, we do not live in a virtual reality world, and you cannot build your house atop quicksand. You can only run off a cliff and remain in the air for so long before you look down and plummet towards the ground. And we have an innate distrust for anybody that pushes these ideas. Even with the brainwashing, we know inherently in our hearts what is real and what isn't. We can see through the hypocrisy, see through the lies. And when we meet them, we can sense the utter misery that exists inside of these people, and we find it distasteful and reject it. Which brings me back to my original thesis as to why the left-hand side of the aisle has no future stars on it. It's because they continually have to defend against ideas that have no bearing in the physical world, that 2 + 2 = 5, the same ideals and policies that drive people away from their states, that spike homelessness and inflation and the divide between Americans. And anybody who gravitates to these policies is frankly either evil or stupid. And it's why somebody like Kari Lake has switched over to the Red Party, and remember that she once supported Barack Obama. It's why perhaps the left's sole future star very recently has left the Democratic Party and gone independent.
I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party that's under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers who are driven by cowardly wokeness, who divide us by racializing every issue and stoking anti-white racism.
So I guess that my question for you is whether or not you want to vote for the Mirage, for the organic bamboo construction that will comprise the 50-story skyscraper as you ascend to the top floor. Those that want to build a society based on racial division, equity, and child sex changes. And if you do, that's fine. This is America. This is a free country. And I will watch from afar as the world's greatest country implodes and its citizens throw themselves into the math that states that 2 + 2 = 5. That want drag queens around little children. You can stay afloat only for so long until you sink into the quicksands of reality.